Hello, hello. I'm gonna wait just a minute for it to go live before I start talking, just in case anybody wants to jump on. We're making the Julie Jetsetter. This is the pattern, and I have a couple here. There we are. So this is the wallet. Unzips. You have two pockets here that fit up to 4 passports. All the card slots here. Another pocket here, and a zip pocket, coin pocket here. Oops. Apparently I have coins in there to show you that. It also holds a pen right here in the middle. And so I've just, let's see, another one. Not pretty. This one has like a tooled embossed vinyl. And the last one is actually somebody ordered this one, a second one. I already made one. And this one has the pen in there. See, it holds it really nice and it fits. No problem. You can still get everything in there. So it's a really cool little wallet. I heard somebody say that they put, oh, look, this one has passports in it. They're old passports, so not worried about losing them, but I was just trying to show that you can put passports in there. But somebody said that if you don't put this divider in here, that you could actually put like a Kindle, I think is what they said. But I don't have a Kindle, so I can't try that. But so anyway, those are the ones I've already made. And today I'm going to make one out of this vinyl and various pieces inside. So this is the back cover, obviously. This, isn't that pretty? This purples and oranges. So this is the liner for the slip pocket on the left, and then this is actual the part that holds the passports. If you have the pattern, which I've linked down below, it tells you that you can cut out the card slots one at a time, or you can cut a really long strip and then cut them out. So I got a strip that almost was long enough, but I had to make one extra cut here. So do that. And then that goes on the, this is the back of the card slots. What else we have here? These are the two insides to the wallet, the main lining pieces. And this is, it's a pretty thin waterproof canvas, but it is a canvas. It's actually really nice. It was like a sample that was sent with a package from the Sam Fabric Creations, but that was one I could purchase from them. Then I have some pieces that will go around the card slots. give it a nice casing. So there's two sides, and the top and the bottom. And this is the inside of the coin pocket, the two pieces that make that up. And the pen pocket in the middle, the little thing that holds a pen. I was going to do this in the middle and that to hold the pen, but I'm thinking maybe I'll do this in the middle, cut this down, and then this will hold the pen, because I think that flows really nice, even though I like the purple better. So I'll cut that one down here in the process. And lastly, there's one piece of heavy stabilizer. Because I'm using vinyl, I just have this one piece, and we're going to put it in at the very end. So if you get this pattern and you want to try it out, at the beginning it looks like they have this already attached to the back piece, and it's not. And I guess that's why they say read the whole pattern through first, which I tried to find where they put it, but obviously I didn't look real hard, because I have a nice big piece of vinyl with that glued down, and it's sitting over there because I don't think I'll ever be able to use it, because you have to turn this thing inside out, and it doesn't work very well when there's already interfacing on it. So those are these are a couple of the templates that I'll need in the process. I have purple zipper for the inside zipper pocket, and then the one that goes all the way around the wallet. Name tag, 2 zipper pulls, and there's one piece here that has a little 1/2-inch D-ring on it. It's just a rectangle that I folded in to the center and then folded it in half and put it over. So I was just making several at a time, so I did a couple of the things all at once. But that was the only thing I had pre-done. And I think I'm using purple thread, purple. And I am all about paper patterns because I like to make notes, and yeah, I think that's all. So let's just get started. First, they have us working on the pen piece and the card slots. Okay. So first we're going to take all of your card slot pieces, draw a line that is 1/2 inch across the top, and see ya. Noah and Mike are going to the game tonight in town. Noah just loves it when Papa comes to the games and threatens to act like his pal. This is a chalk clicker pencil by Soline. It works rather well on certain surfaces. I can make these with something on the TV and snacks and interruptions, but I get stuff done so much faster when I record a video. So that's my intention here. I just need to, I want to get to some other bags. I have some other things I want to make, and I cut out a bunch of these, and I'm tired of having cut out things sitting around because I got excited to make something else and it's still sitting there. And I'm curious if I don't stop to change the channel 12 times or look at my phone. Oh, I need to do that right before I forget. How long it will actually take me to make it? Because I get asked a lot how quickly I make things, and I really have no idea. Because I'm interruption prone, not by anything around me, just myself. So this is 1/8 inch double-sided tape. And just give it a good okay. Oops. Oh, and I should do this at the same time. We're supposed to take the top of the pen pocket and do the same thing. But since I'm going to use this as the pen pocket, I'm going to cut it down. All right. So these are extras. Whoa, sticky tape. And this one is white, so the white chalk is not going to help me. Okay. Once all these are folded down, we're just going to make a top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the top. Okay. I have cat hairs all over me. I think they're tickling my nose. Actually, I think the dog hairs. We have our golden retriever that is, oh man, a 1.5 years. That's all he is. He's very much a puppy, and he very much sheds. Very, very, very much. We have to sweep our downstairs and rake our carpet at least once a week, sometimes twice. And today I got some different brushes, trying to see if we could brush the hair out of him. So, of course, he doesn't sit still for too long, and then wants to eat the hair once I pull it off the brush. So, it's a wrestling match. Therefore, I have hair. I know this may seem time consuming, but there's 10 of these, and trying to do them all individually takes quite a bit of time to. I think quite a bit more time. It's way easier to cut out originally if you only have to cut that little piece instead of this long thing. But, you can just decide whichever way you want to do it. Or do a combo like me. I didn't have quite enough on the straight edge I was cutting. I had to cut an extra one. All right. These industrial machines are self-oiling. So, you have to add a little bit of oil here and there every once in a while, but they have a big tank down here that holds oil. So when you get done sewing, things are still moving. So you have to put stuff under there so it won't leak all over your stuff when you start sewing, even though it is clear and it's just not ideal. Okay, so I'm going to do not as big as some top stitches, but not as small as my normal sewing stitch. And just go. All right, now we get to cut it down into the 10. Well, we have 9 other card slot pieces. So, card slot template, which is really handy, but does not come with the pattern. But you can order these. So it's more important. Sometimes the waterproof canvas you're using can be lightweight, so it can gather a little bit at the top, which you just can't stop it from doing that if it's too lightweight. This is a heavier one, so I don't have that but the last couple I've made were. So the top is what isn't most important, that you have the exact measurement of the pocket, because if the bottom flares out a little bit, you can trim that up after it's sewn onto the back. So talking about the hair, I think it's making me more itchy. Let me have to go over there and wipe my whole face down. Come on. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yay. That means I measured correctly. It's always a plus. There is a bit of trimming on this project, which is kind of nice because it gives you a little bit of allowance in places. This gets set aside. And let me get this guy sewn on. I don't think there's a top and bottom to this. So in the pattern, it gives you a measurement to mark up from the bottom. There we go. To lay this on that mark and then stitch it a quarter of an inch. So I'm going to make that mark. Which is, I don't remember. Oh. Okay. And because my foot is not a quarter of an inch, I like to give myself a quarter of an inch mark here. All right, so she gives you the measurement there. We're going to stick this here right up to the line. Make sure that it ends up being straight. And then sew on that quarter inch line. And this, I'll go down to my normal stitch length for sewing. I started with a bobbin that had very little bit of thread left, but I don't like to waste thread if I don't have to. So then you fold it up, stitch it, fold it up, and we're going to baste. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's nothing like doing stuff online. Okay. The pen pocket you want to have on the good side of your vinyl, not on the back. Very good, very good. Mhm. Okay, let's try that one more time. I'll make the mark on the front side this time. What do you say? That. Unbelievable. Oh well. Okay, same thing. We're going to do it on this side. Okay, so we're now going to fold it up. Now our little top stitch edge here should be at the top. And I'm just going to cinch it down here. And baste the sides. And I like to sew from the fold up. So I'll sew down this side and then I'll turn it over and do the other one. And this is just a base stitch, so a little bit bigger. And I ran out of thread, which is just fine. You always want to run out when you're doing the behind the scenes stitching. And I have another one ready to go. Goes right here. All right, so now it's not super pretty because you got all the threads hanging out, but we have a pin pocket. And I think we put the sides on now. No, there's a up or down. But so the middle section is going to be longer. We're going to line up the top. Let's do that. Line up the top. So this will be hanging down. And if you have particularly slippery materials, you can always put some double-sided tape here. I'm hopeful that this will work out okay. And sew this down with her seam allowance is, I believe, pretty much the same through the whole pattern, even though she puts it in each step, which is extremely handy. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but you do want to make sure that your pen is at the top. The pen pocket opens this way. That's the top. So I'm just going to do the other side here. And again, I want to go from the top down. So I'm going to stitch on the back side of the centerpiece this time. All right, so now these get top stitched with the back underneath the sides here. So increase my stitch length. Same thing on the other side. All right. Woo. So now we're going to take the template for the back and we're going to lay it here and trim this down to match. So I'm going to go over to my cutting table and do that real quick because I need a little bit more space in my little tiny cutting mat there. We actually want that piece at the bottom to stick out. That tongue. And again, you don't need the acrylic templates to make this. You can use the paper ones or however you printed out your patterns. I just knew I was going to be making a few of these, so I had templates printed up. All right. My kitty has decided to grace us with his presence, so hopefully I can get over there before he stops all progress. Hi, bud. Okay. No, give me that stuff back. No, you can't lay on it. No. Okay. Almost didn't make it out of there. All right, so now it looks just like the outer piece. And well, we're going to work on, the passport pocket. Oops, not this one. That's just the slip pocket. Passport pocket. And this one, we're also going to fold it down and top stitch it because this, the back side of the passport pocket is actually raw. So make sure you know that when you pick your fabrics, that will be showing, well, they'll be showing inside the pocket. And this one, being a bigger piece, it gets folded down a little further, all the way to the 1 inch mark, instead of the 1/2 inch like we did for the card slots and the pen holder. This one's also going to get 2 stitch lines. And fold it to that line. Stick it down, and we're going to top stitch right along here at 1/8 and then at 3/8. And I'm doing purple thread. Ooh, I like purple. It does happen to show everything though if I don't sew straight. And now the 3/8. And that's barely picking up the edge of that fold down. So don't make it any more than that. You could probably even make it smaller, but I think the point is that you don't have any, see, that comes really close. So you don't have much of this trying to pull up. And it looks good on the outside. All right, now I'm going to, without putting a crease in my vinyl, mark the centers here. On both of the long edges, because that's where we're going to sew down to divide that pocket into two. That's not long enough. And you want to do this before you attach it to the main thing. It's pretty hard to mark centers when it's attached. All right, so this is your inside lining. You're going to attach it to this side with the rounded parts matching. And everything should match up. Okay. And this is getting basted on. Yeah. So I'm going to go around the edge, and then I'm going to come back and do this. And you do want to make sure that you tack down both of these edges, because we're going to do something over on this side here that you're going to want that good and tacked down. Rufus, stop it. We have scratching posts and scratching pads and trees all over the house, toys, but he insists on scratching the carpet. At least it's not the couch, right? I should not complain. I don't know. Carpet. Hey, stop. All right, that is sewn. Now we're going to take care of the center line. And so you're going to start here on one side, go up, stitch across the top seam, and come back on the other side. So there's actually, there's about 1/4 of an inch between the stitches. And I'll show you when I'm done. It will make more sense when I'm done. But I just put my skinny little foot on one side of the line. And go all the way up to the stitch line that's closest to the edge. Turn it, give it a stitch or two. I only got room for one. And I even made my stitch length smaller for this. And then stitch down the other side. And it was designed this way, so there's plenty of room for the passports when you do this. So that's what it looks like. It's harder to see. There, you can see that. Silver pen though, want to make sure you clean that off once you're done before moving on, because it does become more difficult to come off. I've never run into that, but many people have said that they've had trouble getting it off when they left it on too long. All better. All right, we now have 2 passport pockets. Next, card slots. Now, all these little card slots that we made earlier, I'm going to set that aside. And just ran into something. This is the back. So we're going to attach all the card slots to this. Does it look blue? It's actually very purple, but in my computer it looks blue. That's weird. It's totally different from my shirt, but you can't tell that. At least I can't tell that on my screens that I'm looking at. Okay, so she gives you a first measurement to draw a line. And then she gives you a measurement. So 2 different measurements. First one is for the first line, and then every line after that is that much further than the previous line. But I'll do the first one. And we're doing this on the right side of the back piece. And then each line after is 1/2 inch. So I line up my 1/2 inch, but then I go back to this side and make sure that it's on a line. Because I feel like if you just keep going off the previous line only, you can end up a little further along than you want to. And there's not a lot of extra here. So you gotta do this 10 times, except that I run out of space that way. You don't even have to count though, because if you're doing it properly, you should get down with like 1/4 of an inch or less down at the bottom under your last line. Okay. There's all the lines, that little tiny piece at the bottom. You want that there. Now we're going to take each one, set it on that first line. Do I have 2 here? it's just thicker. Set it on the line and just stitch across like 1/8 of an inch. You're just trying to stick it down. Use a regular stitch length though, because you don't want this coming up. And again, in case you have pieces that are flaring at the bottom, try to get the top part to be on the backing piece fully. Card slots. They're cool, but sometimes they're just a little tedious. I just gotta go through the motions. And to have 10 card slots in a little wallet like this, that's great. The thread I'm using is from Wizardry. Most of the thread I have is from Saya Swag. I have some from Wizardry and I have some from Wawak. But this thread is, I think it's just a little bit thicker. Not noticeably to the touch, but it's taking a little bit more effort to pull it out of the pull it like here. It's okay. I don't have to mess with my tension to use it, and it works perfect, so I'm okay with that. So these lines, it's not entirely important that they're super straight because you're not going to see them, except for the very bottom one. But you do want to make sure that you're sewing the whole way. You actually have a piece of fabric the whole way. It does waste a bit of thread too. It'd be better if you had like 2 that you were doing at the same time. Of course, then you'd have to have 2 using the same thread color. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What did I do now? I know what I did. I measured from the side that had the 1/2 inch extra. No, what did I do? I did. That's what I did. Well, that means I can put one more up here. I've made so many of these and I've never done oh well. Okay, so let me make one extra mark, making sure that I'm measuring from the side that doesn't have the extra 1/2 inch. Yep. Thankfully, the 1/2 inch was the same measurement as all of the additional spacers. Okay, let's get this one sewn on. No problem. Number 10. All right, this is what it should look like at this point. I have a little bit hanging off the edges, so I'm just going to square this up real quick. It's a small wallet, or I should say it's a wallet in general. And if there's any extra that doesn't need to be there, it's good to get rid of it. Barely anything. Let's see. And this side doesn't have anything. So we're good there. Now I think we basted the sides. Yes, we do. And again, they're all going this way. So I'm going to sew up the side on this way and that way. I don't want to go against the grain and end up pushing something out of whack. So I'm going to go this way. Okay, now we're going to grab the right and left pieces, and I'll grab the top and bottoms just because that will be soon. All right, the skinny one is the right, and the fatter one goes on the left. And the top and the bottom are the exact same size. But we don't actually put those on right away. Sorry, noisy. Okay, so you might notice that the card slot is shorter than these pieces, which is fine. That was, I said at the beginning, there's going to be some trimming. She wrote that into the pattern. So just kind of center it because you're going to trim it down and you don't want to short yourself. When she gave us all this extra, same thing over here. It does not have to match this side because, again, we're just going to trim off everything. That's too long. Sorry, my clips are getting out of control here. When I say she, I'm speaking of the pattern maker. I would, in case that's not obvious. Lindsay. Okay, normal seam allowance, regular sewing stitch length. I better make sure. Yeah. Then we're going to pull these back and top stitch on the exterior piece here. Right at the 1/8 inch from the edge. And I'm going to do the ruler just so I can do both of them and make sure they're both straight with the bottom. You know what? This one better. Sorry. Just brushed the mic there, I think. All right, so we don't go to the top and bottom yet because we're going to make a zipper pouch. So we need the little zipper, I should say the short zipper, and one of the zipper pulls, and the two zipper pockets. So again, she gives us a little extra zipper. So I'm going to put double-sided tape along this edge. It's got a long way to fall. That doesn't make sense. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on these two, since I know I'll need it. On the right side of everything. And there's one more piece here somewhere. Aha. This one will come into play here shortly. Okay. So I'm going to center the pocket or the card slots on my zipper, just so that the zipper goes past both ends somewhat. And then I need one piece of the interior little pocket. And this I'm going to attach to the back of the zipper, but I'm going to center it on this piece here. Make sure there's about the same on either side. Her instructions were no more technical than that, so it actually makes it pretty easy. When you do the other side, you're just going to match it to whatever you put this on, so it works out. And my tape didn't come off all the way. Okay, and I'm going to sew from the front of the zipper, which means this side, and this is 1/4 inch seam. do be conscious about your machine. We do end up sewing through quite a bit of tape in this project, and for whatever reason, my machine doesn't complain unless it's really, really bad, and it takes a lot for it to get really, really bad. But if your machine does complain, you can get skip stitches. That's the most common thing. All right, so now I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to put the zipper underneath here. If that makes sense. I'm going to stitch along the vinyl on this side, but the zipper is pushed back here. Like that. And I'm not going to put this underneath it. So lay that down, open that. And actually all my top stitching has been from this side, so I'm going to do that. All right, so the back is essentially flat because we pushed that right into, yeah, it just works out perfect. We got a zipper, and this is the back side of the little zipper pocket. But before we finish that, make sure I'm not losing my way here. Yep. Okay. We're going to trim our zipper, and then we're going to put the top and the bottom pieces on after I put my zipper pull on. Actually, I'm going to put this on right now. So the pattern does say to have your zipper pull go up so that it closes in the up position. But I found, the very first one I did, we don't show people that one because it's not nice. But I found that if the zipper was up here in the closed position, it was always competing with the pin, which I really liked the feature that it held a pin. So I make all of mine so that it closes down here. And sometimes you have to push it up a little so that it, is out of the way of the big zipper, but there's no pin down here. So I think it works better, even though it probably doesn't look as nice. It makes more sense for it to zip up. That's just how I make mine. Okay, now I'll trim this side. Singe my zippers. And again, these are going to be wider than your piece here, which allows for movement. Sometimes you start sewing and your top piece moves down before you even realize it. It's just nice to not have to worry about that. excess will be trimmed off. So you're not trying to make sure it's for sure centered. Just to make sure it's goes past on both sides. And your seam allowance is over here. This doesn't get in the way of that. It feels weird having it there, but it's not in the way. And we're going to top stitch these before we trim them also. All right, so I'm actually going to go over there and do some squaring up again because this piece actually, you have to take like 1/4 of an inch off of each end and then trim these. Anyway, I'm going to do over there. It's easier to stand up and look down at what I'm doing. So I apologize. I'll be away from the camera for a few moments while I get this squared up. It also allows for any adjustments to um, getting the card slot, which is in the middle of it all, squared up in case it's not square. You have, um, you have to take a little bit off the top and the bottom, but you can also take a little bit off of the left side if you need to. That looks just terrible. It is nice that it ends up being you're taking, you're measuring about an inch past the fold at the top and the bottom. So it makes it quite easy because you want them to be equal. Everything has to be equal. Okay, I'm almost done. All right. Now we have a perfect little rectangle. So she says you have to take the equal amount off the top and the bottom to get to the measurement. And it turns out to be about an inch past this line both ways. And then, does she measure this one yet? No. We don't measure this way until we get the whole zipper pocket done. Da, 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 da. So here, yeah. Okay. We're going to take this right side down on the pocket, and everything should match up now widthwise because we trimmed these to what she said they needed to be. So you can mark your centers if you need to, but as long as they're the same width, I just put my ends down. I just can't see anything these days without glasses. And then go along to make sure that my zipper stays going straight. With that pull in there, it gives it a little bump. So I want to make sure that the edges all match up. Okay, now that's on the front. Now on the back, we're going to put the other half of the zipper pocket lining, the lining for the zipper pocket. And that is also going to be right side down on the back of the zipper. And this is where we line it up with the other piece that's already here. It also doesn't matter if it's off just a little bit. We're going to sew up the sides. And nobody will ever see if it was off a little bit. Okay. Sewing from the front of the zipper, 1/4 inch, and move the pull when you get to it. All right. So leaving this back here, I'm going to pull this out with the zipper underneath it and top stitch on this flap. All right, so now we're going to get this all stitched up. So you want to match up. Get a couple of these guys. Well, do whatever works for you, but I find these guys work really good. You're going to match up the top, comes straight down, and put a clip. Then we're going to match up this side, come straight down, and put a clip. Okay. See that? That's actually what we want it to look like when it's all stitched up, because these sides are going to come together and we don't want this going one way or the other. We want it going straight up. So by putting those there, we can add some more. And I'm going to pull all of this back. And we're going to sew right along here, coming up to the zipper, as close as you can get without actually sewing into the zipper. My machine has never wanted to go past where the zipper is, so that hasn't been a problem. So just 1/4, whatever is comfortable for your pocket. Okay. And as long as your zipper still moves, you haven't gone too far. Do the same thing on this side. And then just close up the bottom. Now, when you fold this with the zipper on top, you have a cute little pocket. So, all right, so we are actually going to fold this so that the zipper is at the top. Some good solid clips here. So you're supposed to match this with the edge of this, but if you had to shorten one of these sides at all, it won't match. And it's more important to me, I think, that this should be exactly on the top. So with that being in the correct place, now I'm going to stitch it down. And this time I didn't actually have to shorten either of the edges, so it does match perfectly here. But the last one I did, I had to shorten it a little bit. It was no big deal. What I did was I cut off this piece to match the underside, because the underside is this section. And trim up the corners a little bit to get them uniform. It's all good. So this, we are going to trim these corners off before we baste these together. Actually, I don't think we baste them. I think we stick them on there and then baste all of them together. And, So as not to have too many basting stitches in through your vinyl, we're just going to go right to this piece here that has the lining and our passport pockets already. We're going to put this on the other side and match up the edges and the corners. Isn't it great when everything fits like it's supposed to? All right, and this is another spot where we're basting, but you want this little edge here to be tacked down when you go around, because it's right next to this that's going to get folded under, and you want it to take that corner with it. right, that's the inside. Looking good. I am going to clean up some of these threads hanging out. All right, so now, right, my label. So this little tail here, this is the bottom on both of these. You have matching tails. So it will open and close this way. I have found to put my label on the back 3 inches from the side and centered wherever you want it. You don't have to put a label there. I had to do some figuring and some trial and error, and I came up with that, and it works pretty darn good. So what I do, I just draw myself a line 3 inches from the edge that I wipe off what I don't need, because I'll most likely put it somewhere in this vicinity in the bottom half. And what did I do with it? Hi at Rip It and so on. YouTube recently switched how people's names were coming up. We used to come up with the name that we chose, but people were abusing it and pretending to be somebody else. So now it's whatever your YouTube channel is, or YouTube. I guess it's your channel, even if you don't do anything. Thanks for watching. All right, so then I just kind of pick where I want it to go on the back. Make sure that it's level. And centered on that 3-inch mark. And I'll stitch it on. Wow, that's going to be bright. I didn't realize, not think about it, I'm going to have purple thread. Oh boy. Better make it look good, huh? Tiny stitches. And I'll pull my threads to the back. Pull that thread to the back before I get there. All right. It's come to my realization that my labels, they squish and move, and I wish they wouldn't do that. So I just ordered some from Heartwood and Hide that are thicker, and they don't do the whole squishy movie thing. I have metal bag tags, but those are a bit rough for little wallets like this. All right. Label on. There's no way it can unravel, but I like to give it a little piece of duct tape, so I'm sure it's not going anywhere. And now I'll clean off my extra silver pen. Now I'm going to mark the center. Nope, one step first. On the backs of both of these, up where the tongue is, I'm going to draw a line that is how far? 2.5 inches. At this point, you can't do this pattern without getting the pieces. All right, 2.5 inches up on both of them. So this piece and that piece on the back. You can draw as long as you want, but you only really need it to be as long as the tongue. And this one's a little tough because there's a big old zipper thing there. Okay, and on both of them, you're going to put a piece, I'm going to put a bigger piece of double-sided tape there and bring it up to that mark and make sure it stays. So I'm going to use the 1/4 inch. And this is that part where I said you want your corners to come up with you. It's hard to see because we're actually going up further than the tongue. This will not, yeah. Let me just do it and then I can show you what it looks like. It doesn't seem right when you do it the first time. So you can see there's a bit of an indent there. You can see it better there with it here. This one will be obvious too. So again, a little bit of an indent there. That's what it looks like on the back. So you're definitely pulling up more than just the tongue. Okay, and from this side, we're going to do a top stitch that's going to replace it at the end. So for right now, we're going to top stitch from here over to here on the back side, pull the threads to the back and tie them. I hope that makes sense. Again, let me do it and show you what I'm talking about, hopefully. So start and stop where the tongue starts and stops. And this is where you hope you have a really nice bottom stitch, because if you do it from this side, you don't know where to start and stop because there's no tongue showing on this side. But they are going to be pulled to the back and tied. And these, I'm going to cut really short. I tied them 3 times, cut them really short, and then I'll singe them with the flame. I don't mean to make a flame, it just happens. Okay, so this is what it looks like all done. Ooh, it's trying to focus on me in the back. And this is what it looks like on the front. So just a stitch line, no back stitching, no extra thread. I'm going to do the same thing right here. This one's a little trickier because you got all those extra layers trying to get in the way. Okay. There we go. It's a pretty thick seam. Oh dear. Don't run out on me now. All right. It's really hard to know what those are for until you get to the end. And then it's like, oh, it totally works. Okay. We're getting closer to the end here. Put some of these back. All right. I'm going to take, my zipper. Okay. So this is not my favorite part, but it has to be done. And it has a really cool finished look. Maybe you've done it, maybe you haven't. But we have to split the end of our zipper and make a stop of its own. So you can make a 1/2 inch or you can make 5/8. It doesn't really matter. I usually do 5/8. Let's see that way. And what we want to do is see where those little lines are. Can't see very good. We're going to split the zipper, grab one of these lines, if you can. Come on. Okay. I grabbed the line. I'm going to pull it up. I'm not showing it. And fold it right there. Like that. I'm going to take it to a different sewing machine over here, and I'm just going to stitch along the outside edge here so it will be a stop. So when the zipper comes up, it automatically stops there. I hope that makes sense. I can't do it on this machine. I think I have my pressure a little too much pressure because I can't control it when it goes over that zipper tape. And I just need little stitches, and I have my Bernina sitting right here, and the poor thing doesn't get turned on for much else than making these little zippers. This pin doesn't want to go in. Two down. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that better. The light. Man, it doesn't look fuzzy to me. Is it fuzzy to you? Sheesh. So I'm gonna do the other side, and you hope when you're all done that they match. They should match. Yep. Anyway, this pin is done. So I'll be right here sewing this little guy. I have also hand stitched these when I was just not in the mood to try and clear off a spot for my sewing machine. I've seen lots of people actually use their industrial machines. It would be nice if I could do that, but I can't. So I'm going to clean these up, singe the side, and then show you, and hopefully it will make sense. The thread I use over there is also cotton, and I forget that. So I try and singe it, and it just doesn't look right. All right, here we go. Pretty fancy, huh? That's the front and the back. See how they're both folded over. Okay, done that part. That's an unfavorite part. All right. So now I'm going to mark the middle of this, the top of this. With my pen. And then I'm going to measure a little bit on either side, what she says in her pattern. I just feel like I'm giving away so much. You can't do anything unless you buy the pattern pieces because they all match and everything fits together perfect. All right, so essentially I made a little section there at the top. Why does it get fuzzy when I get closer? I don't understand what's going on, but and that is where the little ring is going to go when we do that. So first off, I'm going to put tape all the way around here. We're getting close. We're putting the tape on, or the tape for the zipper tape. Here. Now, there is a step later on where we actually have to pull the tape from the corners so that we can trim the corners, and pulling the tape off is a bear, I have to admit. But I can't even imagine trying to sew on the zipper and the front and the back without having the tape here. But if you would like to try that and keep everything together with clips, however you want to do that, it will save you some anguish when you need the tape to be gone. How long have I been on here? 2 hours? Yep, just over 2 hours. Okay. All the way around. I like to go around these corners just to make sure it's going to stick down once I start pulling up the backing. Okay. And I'm going to start here, and I'm only going to pull to here just so I only have one sticky side to deal with at a time. I might actually cut this though. And I'm going to take half of this and not this half. So I want the top of the zipper to be face down on the right. And then I'm going to, you can see because of the glare, I'm going to set this right up at that right side mark and start cinching it down. So you can see that. And then I'm just going to go all the way around. Now, however you get around these corners, it's you got to do it the same on both sides because you need the zipper to match up down here with the same length left over. And I use clips while I'm going around these corners, or after I go around the corner, because it seems to be the only place that the tape will pop off while I'm working on the other side and stuff. I also clip them so that they're right side down, because eventually we're going to sew the two sides together and we'll be sewing from the top or the outside of the wallet. Okay, one side is done. I'm going to pull this and do the other one. And again, I'm going to go up to the left side of that mark so that they look the same. because this little guy is going to go right there in the middle when I'm done with this tape. Oh, I think I left the chickens out. Okay, not good. Okay, so that's down. We sew a little bit on one side here. On this side. So we have to turn this right side out through a hole that we will not sew, but we need the zipper to be stuck to one side. So we're going to sew it down to the top. And she says to leave a pretty big hole, which I still leave a big hole, but I try and leave it a little smaller than her suggestion, just because it gets really close to the corners and it causes grief. It causes me grief. Okay, so we don't baste this down because the tape is the baste. Oh, I do need to get this down though. That little guy's not going to hold it anymore. I got these new clips. They're really cool. They're big and they're strong. And sometimes you need to be able to go over something and clip. And like this, it works perfect. So we don't want to be any closer than a 1/4 inch from the D-ring. So I'm going to try and make a mark here because I tried eyeballing it and I got myself a little too close. Do that right between those lines. And ta-da. Okay. Everybody's at the game. I wonder how the game is doing. Usually there's 2 guys here. I can send one out to close up the chickens. They just were not ready to go in when I was out there getting eggs. Okay. Well, that's disturbing. All right. So now I think let me make sure I'm doing it right. Add tape everywhere. Oh, I didn't stitch up that. Oh my goodness. I made the marks. Must stitch up between the marks on the left side, looking at, the bottoms down here. Oh, I can't see anything. And this, you're going to use the same seam allowance here that you would normally use on a zipper tape, which for me is 1/4 inch. And you want to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Good. All right. Easy peasy. So it doesn't, you can see it from the back. And that is the exact reason that when we sew the front and the back together, we'll sew from this side so that you can see where not to stitch. All right, so I'm going to go around again with another layer of tape. Again, these corners just get in the way. But as soon as I leave those clips off, I'll have a corner pop off. Be most distraught about that. And you don't have to put tape here. You can cut it off, but I actually think it helps to keep everything in the right place to have this tape here. You just don't sew there and rip it out when you're done. Where'd my other clip go? There it is. All right, so I know this is a little unorthodox, but I'm stressing out about the fact that I didn't close up my chickens. So I think I'm going to take the 30 seconds it takes me to run out there and do that and hope that, let's see, I wonder if I can write something in the chat. Ran to close up the chickens. Be back in a sec. take this off. This. And close it. Chickens be back in a sec. Send. Yes. Okay, I'll be right back. Whew. Okay. I ran. I think I'm out of shape. Oh, and the real fun part was that as I'm running back from the chicken coop, my husband pulls in the driveway. Oh well. Okay. I feel better that they're closed up. It's dark here, and I leave a light on them so that they'll stay up later and lay eggs and stuff. Whew, sorry. Try not to breathe into the mic. Okay. So now we just get to match up the bottoms and the top and get it all clipped together. Which you may be able to tell that these corners are the extra fun part. I haven't found a real perfect place to start. Just get one of the ends lined up, I guess. And then get this one to line up. Yeah, that works. These corners, yeah, the tape does not like to, well, we don't want it to fold, But it doesn't bend that way either. But the more smooshing you can get it to do without folding, the better. Because you really don't want to have to fix it if you get a pleat in your zipper. I've been fortunate enough to not get a pleat yet, but you know, since I'm doing this live, I'll get a pleat. Okay. Couple more clips here. I am curious how close to that they want us to start, because no, remember that part. Okay, it's just sew as close as you can to the turned edges. Okay, I can do that. All right, regular seam allowance. I'm going to start and stop. This is not this end. When I get to this spot here, I'm going to skip and not stitch it. And okay, getting close. All right, that wasn't so bad. All right. All right, so clip the extra thread that I had that I skipped over here. Take these guys off, and oops, there's my hole. Just rip out the tape. Don't to mess with that. Come on. This tape is not nice to my nails. I usually have to use some sort of a Goo Gone after I've worked with this. I don't know, just sticks to my nails more than anything else. Okay. Out of the seam. So this is a step you don't have to do, but I recommend it. This is pulling everything out. Yeah, pulling everything out to make sure that there's no pleats in your zipper, because you're going to have to do the skin once you turn it right back. Sorry, I keep getting that microphone, don't I? This is a little bit stiffer than the last stuff I worked with. I've used a hairdryer before, but in this particular instance, I felt like Then when I went to the corners to get the tape out, it was extra stuck because I had heated it on there. Oh my goodness, it doesn't come on. Do this several more times. Okay. And the corners are where you're going to have pleats, so that's what has to be pushed out all the way. Phew, I thought there was a pleat there, but it was just not pushed out all the way. Good, good. That's good. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to push it back through and clip my corners, but I just want to show you this. These corners are extremely thick right here. These ones that have the card slot, and so we're going to try and ease up some of that because it's really thick. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. The next step is tedious, and I'm sorry I have to, on a live, I can't skip forward. But if you're rewatching it, you can skip forward. Come on. This is why you make sure that you have double stitched where your opening is because you're working it pretty hard. This vinyl is from Sally Tomato, I think. It was a part of one of their Advent things. I didn't want to use it for what they sent it for. Anyway, it was the perfect, because it was like a half roll. It was perfect size to make one of these. Okay. That's rough on the hands. All right, so we have 2 pieces of tape in each corner. Both sides of the zipper tape have tape on them. And Where's my zipper tape? And the goal here is to take just enough out of the corner that I can use my pinking shears and take away some of the bulk. But you don't want to go through the zipper, which is why this is tedious. Zippers have been known to fray if they're cut through without being melted. Well, that came off way easier than the last one. I don't need to keep going. That was one side of the zipper tape. And the other side. It just doesn't want to come off this vinyl. It likes it. I want to stay. Okay. If you cut through the tape, then I've just got stickiness in my scissors. That's not good either. Okay. One corner down. 3 to go. I'm doing the hard ones first. The ones with all that card slot piece is rather thick. Come on. I mean, it's good tape, but it's supposed to come off fairly simply if you peel it. But it really likes this vinyl. Oh, that works. if you can figure out a better way to do this, by all means. That seems to work a little better than trying to peel it. I just thought that smushing it into the vinyl would be counterproductive, but it's working. Actually, in the instructions, she says to clip instead of the pinking shears wasn't an option, but I was struggling to not clip through the tape with scissors, so the pinking shears gave me a way to go around it. One fell swoop without cutting the zipper tape. I apologize if you can hear my son talking. He just can't be in his room without talking to his game or whatever he does in there. He knows I'm live, but he forgets. And they're both home from the football game, so last one of the season apparently for our hometown team. Finally. Okay. Now we get to turn it. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. Smacked the mic again. All right. One more time. Maybe it will be easier. I don't know. That went way easier than the first time. You just never know. So much better in those corners. And the zippers, can pull those out. And actually, I'm going to put the pull on now. So with these flopping all over the place, I find if I close it, then these are going the right direction and I can put it on like this so I don't get it twisted. Oops. Mhm. Oh, I had it. There we go. Okay. One of done. So now I can leave that hanging there. I'm going to grab that piece of stabilizer I talked about at the beginning. And kind of roll it into thirds. Put it in that hole. I'm going to turn it over. I changed my mind. And let it spread. Instant support. Okay. Another thing we need to do before we close up this is right here we've got the top and the bottom, and then we have that piece of stabilizer I just stuck in there. So what we need to do is peel up that flap from the outside and then stick it over that. So I'm going to go in this way under the stabilizer I just put in, unstick it from the back, push it out here, and I'm going to look and make sure I'm going over that piece of stabilizer and put it back in. Easy. And now when you look in there, all you see is the top and the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. The zipper is going to be stuck in there, so it's not that big a deal, but it's one more layer you don't have to deal with. That looks fabulous. I'm going to open here and I'm going to put a piece of the double-sided tape along the edge of the zipper. I know, I'm double-sided taped out. But as we all just saw, it sticks really good. Okay. So I'm going to undo that and then fold the passport holder over so that it looks like it matches what's the rest of it around there. So it sounds complicated, but it works very simply. I don't know how it just knows where it's supposed to go. And I'm going to use some of these clips again to go over the zipper. Okay. See, you don't even see I don't know if you can see that. There was the seam that you can't see anymore. All right. Down to the last step or two here. We're going to sew our top stitch on the outside here. And this is where those funky extra stitches we did at the beginning, we're going to start at one end, go all the way around, and come back and stop at this end. And we're going to pull the threads to the inside because that's not as noticeable. And it will look like a continuous stitch without any back stitching or threads hanging out. It's kind of ingenious. I don't know how these pattern makers can think that far ahead. And I'm going to try and get the zipper in where it would be if it was continuously going. And I'm going to put this on a top stitch. And here we go. Now I'm pulling the zipper out to try and make sure that the top and the bottom aren't folding where the zipper is. But when I get to this section, I'm not going to pull as hard. I'm just going to kind of keep it taut because the only thing holding that fabric to the zipper is some double-sided tape. I don't want to rip it out before I sew through it. sure your zipper is in the middle so it's not getting in the way. Your coin purse zipper. Because this is quite thick. I think maybe this would work as well as my fingernails, maybe. Maybe a little less stressful than my fingernails. One more. So that it finishes in the right spot. Okay. It turns out great. Okay, so pull these stitches to the front, or threads to the front, sorry, to the inside, tie them off. Clip them short because I'm going to fry them again. Okay, let's try it out now with that stiffener in there. It makes everything sit together so much nicer. All right, looks pretty good. See, it's like centered and everything. You can see that. So this, it goes in a little better. You can open it up. We're going to stuff this right down there. And again, in the pattern, she has you put some double-sided tape on the back so that it will front, back, however you want to say it. So it will stick down there. And it's really hard to push it down there when you got tape trying to stick to everything on its way down. So I have found, I try and get the tape to go down the middle. push it in there a little further. Every time I do this, it's a little bit different, so I don't even know how to say it. Just do my best to get the tape in there without seeing any folds. And then I'm just going to pour some glue in there. Some Fabri-Tac. Realistically, if it was your own, you probably wouldn't even need to do that, because you know that just hold this when you go to pull on it, because the zipper's in there. But I think it would be a little nicer if you're going to give it to someone else if you can glue that in there. So here goes. See, that looks pretty good. That's a good spot. And you don't want this coming up too high, because then it will stop your zipper from being able to open all the way. Ask me how I done that one. But I just put some around the edges and down the zipper. I'm going to close it. And I'm going to set it somewhere and let it dry like that. And there we are. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hope that I helped in some way. Even if it's just encouragement to keep sewing. Here we have all the card slots, passport pockets, glue, pen pocket, slip pocket, and zipper pocket. And it's so cute. Okay, I should stop messing with it and go let it sit. Yeah. I should let it sit. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like it. I haven't made too many tutorials yet or recently, but I'm hoping to do more. So if you happen to like my instruction or just like watching me, please subscribe to my channel. And again, I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm Mindy at the end of the video with Twilight Stitching. And have a great day. Enjoy sewing. Bye. Oh, I have to turn this off. I can't just say goodbye. Thanks for watching.